Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. So things like that happen. I mean it, you could argue that it was maybe a poor schedule and maybe they could schedule him on a bigger court. Yes. But again she's Alexa, that's been a talk and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever. Tennis player from that country, which is big country and there's big interest. The Novak Djokovic has finally broken his silence on the Eala situation at the Australian Open. And let me tell you, he did not hold back. Eala, the incredible Filipino tennis sensation and the pride of the Philippines, was knocked out in the first round of the Australian Open. But here's the kicker. It wasn't just about her performance. According to Djokovic and many others who've been paying attention, the WTA's management of her fixture played a huge role in her elimination, and Novak is calling them out on it big time. Eala entered the Australian Open with high expectations. She's not just any player. She's literally the best tennis player to ever come out of the Philippines. That's not hyperbole. That's fact. This young woman has been breaking barriers, making history, and putting Filipino tennis on the global map. She deserves respect. She deserves proper treatment. She deserves to be given the same opportunities as any other player at her level. But what did she get instead? A smaller court. That's right. Despite her talent, despite her achievements, despite everything she's accomplished, the WTA assigned Eala to play on a smaller court when she absolutely could have and should have been playing on a larger, more prestigious court. And Novak Djokovic noticed. Music. He didn't just notice. He spoke up about it. And he made it crystal clear that this was poor management from the WTA. In Djokovic's words, Eala is the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever produced and she deserves all the respect in the world. But the WTA, they are not giving her that respect. They are not treating her fairly. And unfortunately, this lack of proper management might have contributed to her first-round exit. Now, some people might say, come on, it's just a court assignment. How much difference does it really make? Well, let me tell you, it makes a massive difference. The size of the court, the atmosphere, the energy from the crowd, the lighting, the surface conditions. All of these factors play into a player's performance, especially in high-pressure situations like a Grand Slam tournament. Music. But here's what makes this situation even more disturbing. This isn't an isolated incident. This is part of a pattern of questionable treatment that Eala has been experiencing throughout her time in the WTA. And if you've been following her journey, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me take you back to one particularly egregious example. During the Australian Open qualifiers, something absolutely shocking happened. Eala was in the middle of a critical rally in the first set. She hit a ball that was clearly in. I'm talking crystal clear. Folks, everyone in the stadium could see it. The mark on the court was visible. The trajectory was perfect. By every objective measure, it was her point. But then came the call out. Alex a little bit annoyed now. That's the second time that has happened with that same linesman. Now, that's bad enough on its own. But here's where it gets even worse. Instead of simply awarding the point to her opponent, which would have been the wrong call, but at least it would have been a decision, the officials decided to replay the point entirely. If you know anything about tennis, you know that's not standard procedure. You don't just get to replay points because you're unsure about a call. Either the ball is in or it's out. Period. You make a decision and you stick with it. But apparently when it comes to Eala, the normal rules don't seem to apply. And here's what I love about Eala. She didn't just accept it. She walked right up to that chair umpire, calm, but absolutely firm. And she said, I know what you're doing. The confidence in her voice, the determination in her eyes. She wasn't going to be intimidated. She wasn't going to let them push her around. She knew exactly what was happening, and she called them out on it right there on the court. And you know what? Despite all of that nonsense, despite the questionable calls and the attempts to throw her off her game, Eala won that match. She pushed through. She stayed focused and she made it all the way to the finals of the Australian Open qualifiers. That is the kind of mental toughness and resilience we're talking about here. But wait, it gets even more troubling. Let me tell you about what happened during her match against Iga Świątek. Now, if you don't follow tennis closely, let me give you some context. Iga Świątek is one of the top players in the world. We're talking about a multiple Grand Slam champion, a former world number one, an absolute. This is a story, imagined, dramatic, and reflective, of what it would mean if Novak Djokovic, one of the sport's most outspoken champions, publicly confronted what he perceived as racial bias against rising Filipina star Eala after a controversial moment involving the Women's Tennis Association at Melbourne Park. The Spark in Melbourne. The Australian Open is more than a tournament. It is a stage where reputations are forged and futures are tested. For Eala, still carving her place among the elite, the 2026 edition was supposed to be another stepping stone, another chance to prove that talent from Southeast Asia belongs among the sport's brightest lights. Eala has long represented more than herself. In a sport historically dominated by Europe and North America, her presence carries the hopes of a region still underrepresented at the highest levels of professional tennis. But imagine this, a tense third-round clash, a disputed line call, a contentious time violation, a string of rulings that seem, to some, disproportionately harsh. The crowd murmurs. Social media ignites. Commentators tiptoe around the issue. And then comes the unexpected voice. Djokovic breaks the silence. Novak Djokovic has never been one to hide his convictions. Whether advocating for players' rights or challenging institutional norms, he has built a career not only on precision returns and elastic defense, but on speaking his mind. In this imagined moment, he does not wait for a press release. He does not defer to diplomacy. After his own match, he steps into the press conference room and delivers words that ripple far beyond Melbourne. If we want to talk about equality in tennis, we have to mean it. For everyone. What happened to Alex today was not just about one match. It felt different. It looked different. And if we ignore that, we are part of the problem. The room falls silent. Djokovic does not accuse lightly, but he suggests something deeper. That subtle bias, whether conscious or unconscious, still lingers in the corridors of professional tennis governance. A question of perception. The Women's Tennis Association has long championed equality. From equal prize money campaigns to global expansion initiatives, it has positioned itself as a progressive,